A very, very warm welcome to you all here to the Kingsmills Hotel in Inverness. To those of you who have come in person, a very warm welcome, and also to those of you who are joining us on webcast from various parts of Scotland. This is a Women on Board event organised by Changing the Chemistry in collaboration with Women on Boards, HIE and the IOD, the Institute of Directors. My name is Nicky Marr. I seem to have put my name badge down during the photograph somewhere and not picked it up. But I assure you, I am Nicky Marr, and I'm very, very pleased to be here this evening. In fact, I'm very pleased to be here this evening. I'd actually signed up to sit where you're sitting before I got the call asking me to stand here where I'm standing just now. The good news then is that I'm really interested in what's happening tonight and in hearing what all our speakers have got to say. The bad news is that I am bursting with questions, so I may very well hog the Q&A session. Somebody is going to have to keep me in check when we get to that section. Diversity on boards, that's really what we're talking about this evening. It's not just necessary, but it's pretty well essential to enable our organisations to be both innovative and creative. And it's proven that creativity and innovation can improve the financial strength of an organisation and help it move towards growth and stability. But you don't need me to tell you that. We all know that. But we've got a distinguished and experienced panel of speakers who will, over the next sort of hour and a quarter or so, help unravel some of the myths about what board membership is all about and how it can benefit you as potential board members, as well as the organisation that you join. Now, you're all here in this room or logging on to join the discussion because you've got an interest in the topic, women on board. And before we start, I'm just going to ask in the room here in Inverness, just do a quick straw poll. Who here is already on a board? So that's quite a good show of hands. We've probably got about over a third, I would say. That's not bad. Who is considering joining a board of some type? And you may already be on a board and be considering taking up another position. So, yeah, still a few hands, maybe about a quarter of you in the room there. Who's here because they're interested in increasing the diversity of a board that they're already involved in? Excellent. I hope you're all taking notes and you're going to be tailoring your speeches accordingly. Excellent. And who's just here because they fancied a cup of tea and shortbread and a blether? Yes. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you very much for that. You may have noticed the cameras, and I mentioned that we are webcasting to, I think, over 30 people currently logged in across the Highlands and Islands, and perhaps beyond. We don't exactly know where they all are. This whole event will be available online. HIE are filming it, our DP are filming it, as well as broadcasting it. So it will be available online, and you'll get an email tomorrow with that link, so you can watch again. It also means that you don't have to take notes. So you can, if that's how you remember things. I often do, but there is no requirement for that. The format of the evening is fairly simple. I'll hand over very shortly to the chair of HIE, Professor Lorne Crerar, who will formally welcome you all on behalf of HIE. We'll then hear from Tanya Castell, sitting next to Lorne. She's the chair of the charity Changing the Chemistry, and that's a free membership organisation dedicated to promoting diversity on boards. Now, in addition to being the chair of Changing the Chemistry, Tanya is also on the Women on Boards advisory body for the UK. So it's fair to say she's doubly qualified to be talking to you, but she also brings personal experience because she is a member of several other boards herself. Lots of personal experience there and lots of professional experience too. Now, after Tanya's spoken, we'll have a few questions. So if there's anything specifically to be directed towards Tanya, then we can have a quick 5-minute Q&A session. We do have Will be wandering around with a roving mic. So if you can just give us a couple of seconds so that we can get to you. Now, here in the room, we may very well properly hear what you're saying, but remember it is being webcast as well, so the microphone will help our remote audience members take part. And for those of you who are taking part remotely, and I'm looking down the camera at the moment just now and smiling and waving as if you're here, good to have you on board. Thanks very much for joining us. You'll notice as you're looking at your screen that down the right-hand side there should be a comments box. If you'd like to type into that box during the course of this evening, then you can comment or ask a question, and in that way that you can take part in the discussion as well. And we've got a thumbs up. Do we have any comments yet? Not yet. Oh, well, somebody's typing. Somebody is typing. So once we've done that little question and answer session with Tanya, we'll hand over to Jennifer Stephen, who is the Changing the Chemistry HIE project group lead. And I'll tell you a little bit more about Jennifer just before she speaks. Then another Q&A with Jennifer. We'll hear then from Sheila Campbell-Lloyd, who's Vice Chair of the IOD in Scotland. And again, after Sheila has spoken, they'll have more time for questions. And then it's back to Tanya, who I hope has been taking notes throughout the course of the evening, because she's going to give us a quick recap and then leave us with some next steps for how we might all move forward. So that is, I think, quite enough from me just now. I'd like you please to give a very warm welcome to Professor Lorne Crerar, who is a chair of HIE.
Thank you, Nicky, and good evening, everybody. I've taught ever since I graduated, and I've spoken every night this week at various things for HIE, and I haven't felt as intimidated as I feel now. And I'm really not quite sure why, but maybe there's a lesson in that for me. But on behalf of HIE, who are supporting this evening, a genuine welcome and thank you all for coming. It gives me an opportunity to tell you very briefly a bit about why HIE is supporting this and what our role is around gender for boards and looking forward to the future. So as chairman of HIE and as chairman of other private sector organisations in my life, a key thing for me is that the board should have the best talent that's available to help the organisation meet its aspirations and deliver its vision. So in Highlands and Islands Enterprise, my role is to make it what it's almost there to be, which is the best performing public sector organisation in Scotland. And to do that, I want to make sure there are no barriers to talent, whatever gender they might be, in being on the board of HIE. And we very much support Scottish Government's aspiration for 50-50 by 2020. And our support of tonight is part of that for us and some other things that we are trying to do to make sure that we can achieve that aspiration by 2020. So some of the things that we've done that you may have heard about is that HIE was the first public sector organisation to take on a shadow board member, and we started that process last year, beginning of last year, 2014, with the support of IOD through Scottish Government, and we had a shadow board member, a lady that came and sat on our board for a year, sat in our Risk and Audit Committee. It was a very purposeful experience for HIE and for her, and in the feedback from her, she found it a really worthwhile learning experience and helped her a little bit around some issues about confidence and really understanding what that role involved and its commitment and seeking to meet the objectives of HIE. And our second shadow board member will start with us next month, and hoping that it's the same very positive learning experience, helping us spread our net of opportunity to make sure that come the next round of board appointments, which is March of next year, that I'm able to say that, as I've mentioned, we have the best talent with no barriers to make sure that we have that on our board. So the second thing we've done is around the whole appointments process for HIE. And Sandra Dunbar's here from HIE, I see, and she can maybe tell you a bit later when you're networking about what that process is. But an important part of it has already started and has been on the go for some months. And the advertisements for the roles as board members of HIE won't materialise until October of this year. But a great deal of planning goes into it. And for us at the moment, the planning is making sure that the process of application is not so difficult that people see it as being a barrier to applying. And secondly, that once into the portal of applying, that the competencies that are required enable part of that to be a learning journey, that we have the widest opportunity to pick from the widest talent for HIE. Now, I think the second part of it is that being a board member of HIE, well, for me, I was a board member, now chairman, it's just an enormous privilege because it's a very inspiring organisation and it does absolutely wonderful things around, I'm from Gairloch, Wester Ross, around the most beautiful part of the planet. So there's a lot of pleasure out of it, but it's a big commitment because whatever it says in the advert about the time involved, believe me, it will be more. But I personally find it very fulfilling. And I think from the shadow board members' experience, they've found it to be the same. And come September, I understand from Tanya that Changing the Chemistry will be organising a further event, which for HIE in particular, but perhaps for other public sector organisations, to explain to this audience about our organisation, what we're seeking to do, why we think it would be a good thing to be part of, what the role of a board member is, why it's enjoyable, and why it's very meaningful and purposeful. So I think that's going to be around September, and I'll have much more opportunity to wax on about the wonders that I believe that HIE is. So these are the things that we are doing, and tonight is just part of that. It gives me a final opportunity to really thank Tanya, who's been really helping us for the last 15 months or so, and great to see so many people here. And in light of the earlier intimidation, I'm now leaving, and to let you all get on with it. But really appreciate being given the opportunity to welcome you, and look forward to talking to you all again in the future. Okay, thank you very much.